Today's lesson is about review for Quiz 2, Arithmetic Sequence. Question 1. In an arithmetic sequence, u sub 1 equals 2 and u sub 3 equals 8. Find the D. First of all, we know that general form for arithmetic sequence in our class is u sub n equal to u sub m plus n minus m times d. So we just plug in. U sub n, I use u sub 3. So u sub 3 equals u sub 1 plus 3 minus 1 is 2 times d. So we have u sub 3 is 8 equals 2 plus 2d. Then subtract 2 both sides. You will get 6 equals 2d. So divided by 2, d equals 3. So for second one, find the u sub 20. So I can use u sub 20 equals. And this time I use u sub 1 or u sub 3. It's really up to you. So I do u sub 3 plus, here's 17, because 20 minus 3 is 17 times d. Then I plug in. So u sub 20 equal u sub 3, I use 8 plus 17 times 3. So we do multiplication first. We got the 51. So it's 59. And for C, they ask you for S sub 20. So we know that here's the formula. S sub n equals n over 2, a sub 1 plus a sub n. So we already know that it's 20 over 2. A sub 1, we already given. This is u sub 1. It's 2 plus 20 is 59. So you will get the 10 times 61. It's 6010. That's for first question. Let's go to number 2. The nth term of an arithmetic sequence is given by this formula. U sub n equals 3 minus 2n. Find the u sub 1 and a d. For arithmetic sequence, you know the formula is a linear function. U sub 1, I plug in 1 now, so 3 minus 2 times 1. That's equals 1. For this linear function, slope equals negative 2. That means the common difference is negative 2. For B, first one, find this. Sigma notation, since it's get started with 1, that means S sub 20. For S sub 20, we know the formula will be S sub n equals n over 2 a sub 1 plus a sub n. Since we're looking for S sub 20, we need to figure out u sub 20. That will be 3 minus 2 times 20. That's 3 minus 40 equals negative 37. Therefore, for S sub 20, I plug in 20 over 2 times u sub 1 plus u sub 20. Now let's plug in. 20 over 2, that's 10, times. Usable 1 is here. 1 plus negative 37. That will be negative 360. Therefore, negative 360 will be as sub 20. For B2, find sigma notation. N is from 21 to 100. Then it will be equals S sub 100 minus S sub 20. S sub 20 we already got. So we need to figure out S100. For S100, we still need to use this formula. Therefore, first of all, we need to figure out U sub 100. 3 minus 2 times 100. You will get 3 minus 200 equals negative 197. Therefore, S sub 100 equals 100 over 2 times U sub 1, that's 1, plus negative 197. Put into calculator, we will get negative 9800. Then I plug in here negative 9800 minus negative 360. The answer will be negative 9440. Consider a arithmetic sequence like this. Write down the common difference. We already know this is an arithmetic sequence, so common difference will be U sub m minus previous term. That's give you common difference. So I will get that D equals 9 minus 3. Or you can use in like 15 minus 9. It's the same, so you get 6. B, find the number of terms in the sequence. So for the B, we suppose that U sub n equals 1353. So we use that formula U sub m plus n minus m times d. We are given U sub 1 equals 3, U sub 2 equals 9. You can use any of them. Normally, for me, I just use the first one. So we're using U sub n equals U sub m plus n minus m times d. I plug in. U sub n, I know that is 1353. So equals, I use the first one. So I will get 3 plus n minus 1 times d is 6. Okay, so I will do distributive property here. I got 6n minus 6. Then here the 3 bring down. Then I will put the all number on the left side, and variable here is 6n. So this one I move, here's I move. I will get, let me see, here it's adding 3, so it's 1356. Then I divide by n both sides. You will get 226. So that's the 226th term. Find the sum of the sequence. Definitely you go to use, here's the formula for u. So u sub 1 plus u sub n. But we already know the n will be 226. So for the c, I will write down the sum subtract 226 equals, I just plug in, so 226 over 2, then it's u sub 1 equals 3 plus 1353. So you will get 113 times, here's 1356. Then this will be the answer. For number 4, an arithmetic sequence, we have this. Then d equals 11, and u sub 27 equals 263. Find the u sub 1. And whenever you want to find the term, you always go to this formula. Then I just plug in. I have u sub 27 equals u sub 1 plus 27 minus 1 is 26. Then times d. Okay, now I plug in. U sub 27 is 263 equals u sub 1, that's I'm looking for. Then plus 26 times 11. And I will get the 263 equals u sub 1 plus, we got the 26 times 11 is 286. So I subtract 286 from 263, you will get 323 negative. So that's your u sub 1. Okay, so for B, given u sub n equals 516, find the value of n. Same thing. This time I want to use 263 because it's closer. I will using u sub n, still I go to this formula. You can using u sub 1, it's really up to you. I just want to let you see that either one you could use to figure out this n. So u sub n is 516 equals, I want to use 263, then plus, here's n minus 27, then times d, that's 11. So we do distributive property here. You will get 516 and 263 plus 11n minus 11 times negative 27, it will be 297. So we combine like terms for these two. You will get negative, here it's 4, then this is negative 34 plus 11n, then 516. So I add 34 both sides. You will get 0, here's 5, then here's 5. So equals 11n. So n will be 50. So second question for B, we need to figure out S sub n. So we're using that formula. We have S sub n equals n over 2 u sub 1 plus u sub n. So we just need to plug in. We already know n is 50, so that's why we do the 50 over 2. U sub 1 is negative 23 plus u sub n, that is 516. So we can put all this one into calculator, get the answer. Let's do that. Yeah, it's 12,325. Now let's go to number 5. The nth term of an arithmetic sequence is given by u sub n equals 5 plus 2n. Write down the common difference d. There's two ways to do that. If you know d will be the slope and the slope will be 2, yeah, you can get the 2. Another way to do it is we just use the definition. So you got the u sub n and it equals 5 plus 2n. Then get the u sub n minus 1, that's the previous term, because d will be u sub n minus the previous term. So you will get 5 plus 2 n minus 1. Then you get 5 plus 2n minus 2. Then we do subtraction. D equals u sub n minus u sub n minus 1. Then you will get 5 plus 2n minus 5 minus 2n, then plus 2. So remember the sign, you change the sign for this. And you combine like terms. So you get the 2. It's really up to you. But if you know the slope is a common difference, for arithmetic sequence, it's easier. So let's go to B. Given nth term of this sequence is 115. Find the value of n. Basically, we already know that 5 plus 2n, that's the formula, equals 115. So I'm just looking for the n. Then I subtract 5 both sides. You get the 2n equals 110. Then divided by 2, get the 55. For second one, for this value of n, find the sum of the nth term. So that means we're using that n over 2 times u sub 1 plus u sub n. We already know that the n is 55, and u sub 1, I just plug in 1 to this formula. You will get 7. So it's s sub 55, that equals 55 over 2. First one is 7 plus 115. So you can put into calculator for this. The answer will be 3555. Now let's go to 6. In an arithmetic sequence, s sub 40 equals this, u sub 40 equals that. Then find the u sub 1 and a d. I will write down the formula. U sub 40 equals, since I'm looking for the u sub 1, I use u sub 1 plus, here's 39 times d. Then it's s sub 40 equals 40 over 2. And then I have u sub 1 plus u sub 40. That's the formula. So basically, this is given. I can figure out the u sub 1 using that. after we got the usable 1, we plug in here, and because here is given, then you can get the D this time. Normally, when you do this kind of questions, just write down the formula. Just check, and can I figure out by the given information. So I plug in this one to get the usable 1. Thus, S sub 40 is 1900 equals, here's 20. Usable 1 is I'm looking for, plus usable 40 is 106. So we do distributive property here. You will get a 20 usable 1 plus, here's 12, 2, 12, 0. Then this part is 1900. Then I subtract 2, 1, 2, 0 both sides. So you will get 20 usable 1 equals negative 220. So we divide by 20 both sides. You will get the usable 1 equals negative 11. Now let's go to this formula now. So we plug in. Usable 40 will be 106 equals usable 1 is negative 11. Then plus 39 times D. Okay, so both sides add 11. You will get 117 equals 39D. I divided by 39 both sides. Your D will be 3. Now go to number 7. So we have arithmetic series. The first term is negative 7. Then the sum of the first 20 term is 620. So which means I have usable 1 equals negative 7. Then S sub 20 equals 620. So from formula S sub n equals n over 2, then U sub 1 plus U sub n. I can figure out U sub n, that means U sub 20. From U sub 20, I using that U sub n equals U sub m plus n minus m times d. I can figure out the d. So first of all, I use this formula. And you will get 620 equals 20 over 2. Then times U sub 1 is negative 7 plus U sub 20. So you will get 620 equals 10. Negative 7 plus U sub 20. So we do distributive property first. You will get negative 70 plus 10 times U sub 20. So for this side is 220. I add 70 both sides. You will get the 690 equals 10 U sub 20. So I divide by 10 both sides. You will get 69 equals U sub 20. That's U sub 20. Then I plug in this formula now. So you will get this one. U sub 20 equals, I use U sub 1 given. So 19 then times D, so that I can figure out the D. And I know the u sub 20 is 69. U sub 1 is -7 plus 19 times D. So I add 7 both sides. I will get 76 equals 19 times D. Divided by 19 both sides, I got the 4. Yeah, that's D equals 4. So we're looking for 78th term, which means u sub 78. You can use the first term or you can use like a 78th term, but I think the first term is much easier. So let's do u sub 1 plus 78 minus 1 is 77 times D. So I plug in. You will get -7 plus 77 times 4. It will be 307. Then plus -7. So the answer will be 301. That's the final answer for u sub 78. For number 8, consider an arithmetic sequence 2, 5, 8, 11. Find the u sub 101. Still, I need to write down that formula. And from given sequence, we already know that u sub 1 equals 2. And a D will be 5 minus 2 equals 3. So that's given information. And you can write down that u sub 2 equals 5, u sub 3 equals 8. It doesn't matter. But normally, the first term is easier. So for u sub 101 equals u sub 1 plus 100, because 101 minus 1 times D will be 3. Okay, so I plug in 2 plus 100 times 3. You will get 302. And for the B, is find the value n so that u sub n equals 152. So we know that u sub n equals, I'm still using the u sub 1 to do that. N minus 1 times D will be 3. So I plug in, it's 152 equals 2 plus n minus 1 times 3. So distributive property. You will get 2 plus 3n minus 3. Then here's 152. So move this on the left side. You will get 153 equals 3n. Then I divide by 3, you will get 51. Yeah, that's the answer. For number 9, arithmetic sequence u sub 21 equals -37, u sub 4 equals -3. Then find the D and U. So we still using the formula u sub n equals u sub m plus n minus m times D. That's how I plug in u sub 21 equals u sub 4 plus 21 minus 4 is 17. Then I times D. So I plug in -37 equals -3 plus 17D. So I add 3 both sides. I got -34 equals 17D. Divided by 17, you will get -2. Then how you get the u sub 1? Same thing. I still using This time using u sub 4 equals u sub 1 plus, then this one is 3 times d. I plug in. U sub 4 is negative 3 equals, I'm looking for u sub 1, plus 3 times negative 2. So you will get negative 3 equals u sub 1 minus 6. And so u sub 1, I add 6 both sides. You will get 3. So we're looking for s sub 10. If you want to get the s sub 10, you have to using like 10 over 2. Then it's u sub 1 plus u sub 10. So you need to figure out the u sub 10 first. U sub 10 equals, using the u sub 1 is easier. Then it's 9 times d, because 10 minus 1 is 9. So u sub 1 is 3 plus 9 times negative 2. So you will get negative 15. That's how I plug in this time. You will get a 5. U sub 1, they give you 3. U sub 10 give you 15, so plus negative 15. You will get negative 12 times 5 is negative 60.